Would you like to get AMD's Ryzen CPU as cheap as $129? If so, check the AMD's Ryzen full CPU lineup prices. Stay tuned for more. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Mats and you're watching the Mats Gaming News channel. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook, so check the links in the description of this video below. And also don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell button to stay up to date with the latest news. So AMD's new Ryzen CPU full lineup and pricing, along with the specifications and clock speeds, has been leaked. The Zen microarchitecture is the fastest and most power efficient ever developed by AMD, it seems. Early benchmarks already shows AMD's 8-core 16-thread 1700X Ryzen CPU competing with Intel's fastest CPUs. And this is not the best what AMD chip is all about. AMD has much more to offer. And what is also very important is that Ryzen CPU are not only powerful but also very well priced. Now, the leak comes from an internal product list of a Chinese retailer. We already knew Ryzen 7 1800X, 1700X and 17 prices, as these leaks were known few days ago. But today's leak provides full price list of all Ryzen CPU in addition to the base and turbo clock speeds of the chip and even their L3 cache sizes. Now, just one remark here. These prices have been taken off of the Chinese retailer site, so the final price for your region, whatever it is, Americas, Asia, Europe or Africa, may actually vary. Use the pricing as an estimate rather than a final price. So what the prices are like? Let me start with the least expensive one. So we have AMD Ryzen 3 1100, which is a 4-core 4-thread CPUs, 8 MB of L3 cache, and 4-core CPUs all have 8 MB of L3 cache, so I will not come back to this. TDP of 65 watts, which is very common for all 4-core CPUs, and the clock speeds of 3.2 GHz and turbo of 3.5, and this CPU is priced at $129, which is equivalent, I mean, at the same price you can get Intel's i3 6100, I believe, and 7100 as well, which is basically a 2-core 4-thread CPU with only 3 MB of cache, right? Now there's another one which is 1200X, and the only difference is the clock speeds. It's 3.4 GHz and 3.8 turbo, and this one is priced at $149. Another one is 1300, and that's 4-core and 8 threads, so I mean that's pretty much more powerful CPU, and its clock speed is 3.2, base 1, turbo 3.5, and it will come for $175. Another one is 1400X, and that's 4 cores, 4 threads as well, 8 MB L3 cache, blah blah blah, 3.5 base clock speeds, 3.9 turbo, and it comes at roughly around $200. Now let's move on to the 1400X, which is 8 cores as well. No, sorry, that's the same one, sorry. Now let's move to the 6 cores and 12 threads. There's 2 of them, and the first one is 1500, as that's, you know, all the 8 cores and 6 cores comes with 16 MB of L3 cache, and this particular one, Ryzen 5 1500, is clocked at 3.2 GHz, 3.5 turbo, and it will cost around $229. that's for a 6-core 12 threads, which is a sweet deal, really. Another one is 1600X, 6-core 12 threads, 3.3 gigahertz, 3.7 in turbo, and that comes for $259. And now the obviously the most powerful CPU. So 1700, which is 8 core and 16 threads, 65 watts of TDP, 3.0 gigahertz of base clock, 3.7 turbo, and it will cost roughly around $319. 1700X, which is also 8 core and 16 threads, 3.4 base clock speeds, 3.4 base clock speed, 3.8 turbo, and it will cost at around $399. And obviously the most important one, and I think this one, this particular one, Ryzen 7 1800X, is going to be more of like a black edition kind of CPU, where it's going to be perfect for overclockers and stuff. I mean, all these Ryzen CPUs, which I just talked about, are basically very easy to overclock, apparently. So there's there's no issue with overclocking them anyway. But but this particular one, Ryzen 7 1800X, is obviously 8 cores, 16 threads, 16 megabytes of L3 cache as with the other ones, 95 watts TDP, 3.6 base clock speeds, gigahertz obviously, and turbo of 4.0, and it will come for $500. So there you go. Now the interesting thing is that the Intel CPUs, even though that they sort of have the low-end CPUs at similar price and mid-range probably as well, but the problem is that, like with the low-end CPUs, Ryzen 4 physical threads is going to beat the Intel's 2-core 4 threads CPUs, no problem. I mean, that's in theory. We haven't seen the benchmark yet, but I'm sure that's going to happen, right? So these prices, these AMD prices, are really good and very competitive. So it's very good that finally somebody is going to really compete against Intel and its monopoly, really. So yeah, these prices just shows that Intel is going to be in trouble once these CPUs releases at such prices. Obviously, I'm really looking forward for those prices to be officially confirmed by AMD shortly. Intel CPUs are not that expensive in the low-end market, but the top range of the Intel CPU is priced pretty high, so they will either drop the prices or AMD is going to dominate the CPU market. I mean, I don't really see many people going for Intel products for today's prices if AMD is offering the same level of performance for a half of, or sometimes 1/3 of the price. Now, bear in mind that I'm talking about the top range of the CPUs right now, because as I said, the low-end CPUs are not really that expensive. But but even in the low-end segment, we're talking about Ryzen CPU that offers 4 physical cores, not just 2 cores. That's a difference, even if that's with 4 threads. And obviously there are 4 cores and 8 threads available as well, just a little bit more, right? So that's going to be very powerful low-end CPU as well, especially with increased IPCs that AMD's 4-core CPUs will have. These CPUs will not be beaten by 2-core Intels anymore. I mean, which was basically the case with all FX CPUs. I mean, if you take AMD's FX for 4300, for example, even though it is a 4-core, 4 physical core CPU, it was beaten by Intel's 2-core 4-thread CPUs in gaming, especially, not necessarily in other, like video editing and stuff, but in gaming, Intel had no competition at all. So I mean, but it seems that it's going to be other way around this time around. And just to top this off, really, I'm really looking forward to see the 6-core and 12-thread CPUs in action, as these CPUs may be the sweet spot for many CPU owners. Ryzen R5 CPUs will offer great performance and very low price, which will be perfect fit for mid-range desktop computers. That's a CPU great for both gaming and day-to-day home use as well. And also video editing and any kind of semi-professional use, basically. I mean, this CPU, if it's going to be priced as AMD or the leaks suggest, then this is going to be my kind of like a CPU of choice, because to be honest with you, getting a 6-core 12 threads very powerful CPU with 60 megabytes of AL3 cache and 65 watts TDP, even though it's going to be clocked at only 3.2 gigahertz, I mean, I will still be able to overclock it, and it's probably going to cost roughly around $229, which is basically a very good deal. Right, so especially if I will want to use this CPU for gaming or even video editing, as I do right now. So but anyway, I think that's it for this video, really. So thank you very much for tuning in and obviously sharing all my videos with others. I really do appreciate that. Hopefully you did enjoy this video, and if you did, you know the drill. Let me know what you think about it. Comment in the comment section below, hit the like button, subscribe, and you take care. Bye.